Bill Condon, come back on stage. Bill, what a homecoming.
I know, thank you.
Want to bring anybody up?
I would love to. I think it's better when we're sitting right there.
Jennifer Lopez, welcome to Sundance. Tonatiuh, come on up.
Say one other thing, well, I can't because you're standing. Okay. If everybody who was involved in the movie would just stand for a second. No, thank you. Look at how we're going to see he sends his love and hugs and wishes you to
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. We're so happy for you. We're so thrilled that you shared this movie with us. Thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
I'll start with Bill. Okay. So tell us about how important musicals are to you, because we see it in the film. I mean, I'm going to ask each of you the importance of musicals, because as I understand it, they play kind of an important role for each of you. But Bill, start us off.
All I can say is I did write that line. I pity people who hate music. But yeah, I just think it's it is that thing of all the things that movies can do can happen in the musical. It's music, it's imagery, it is design, it's drama, and everything gets lifted by that sense of performance. And I think, thank you so much for giving us this experience tonight. To see it in an audience like this, and an audience who comes in not knowing anything. I'll never forget this, right? Thank you.
I mean, Jennifer Lopez, I don't know you, but it just feels like this movie was, you were made for this movie.
Yeah. I've been waiting for this moment my whole life. The truth is, when you talk about the importance of musicals, the reason that I even wanted to be in this business was because my mom would sit me in front of the TV. It would come on once a year, West Side Story on Thanksgiving, I remember. And I was just mesmerized. And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. And that was always my goal. And this is the first time I actually got to do it. And so it was a big deal. I think of Cheetah Rivera, I think of Fred Ebb, I think of Terrence McNally, and all of the love that they poured into this. And it's just an honor to be able to be part of this movie. And I thank you guys so much for this moment. Thank you. Love you too. So much.
Tonatiuh. Stop. What a way to get to know you.
Hi.
Musicals. Talk to me about musicals.
So I went to USC, and the first day of film school. Yeah, fight on! The first day of film school, Chris does 190. Dr. Drew Casper showed us Swinging in the Rain, and he did it every semester whenever he did 190. And I remember even after I graduated, I would go back to that Wednesday class just to watch it one more time. Seeing Gene Kelly and all those beautiful stars, telling those stories that I always dreamed of being in a movie musical. And so here we are.
Bill, you talked about it a little bit at the introduction. Let me tell you this. You showed us this movie a couple months ago.
Yeah.
It was the day after Election Day when we watched this movie. We invited it very quickly. But you spoke about it earlier, the how topical, more than topical, relevant, topical, necessary this movie is and what it explores. So maybe with that as a framing, as you shared with us earlier, I would imagine that when you first conceived of the idea of bringing this to the big screen, you saw it through a different lens than the lens we see it through tonight.
Yes and no, I gotta say, because we'd always talked about it. It's a movie that actually came together very quickly. We shot it in the spring, and I did wonder, because we had it finished when you saw it in January, but pretty close to that. And we had discussions about, should we have this out during election time? Because it had been clear already, before that election happened, that for years, specifically, trans people were being used, as a sort of, the latest, victims of the culture war, right? And it did feel as if, no matter what happened, this is something that we have to live with, and it's not going to go away. And again, to me, the promise of the movie is that somehow people can grow beyond that and see each other as individuals. That was, I made that movie about Kinsey Arnold these years ago, and the most revolutionary idea he had was not the Kinsey scale, but that someone's sexuality is as individual as a fingerprint, right? And that true liberation would be seeing someone as an individual and not as a label, And to me, the most important scene in the movie is the scene after Valentina and Melina make love the first time. And Melina's describing that he wasn't a man or a woman, he was nothing and everything, that they both just seen into each other's soul and found love there. And that still seems like the most revolutionary idea and the sort of thing to grab onto.
Jennifer Lopez, there is something topical about this movie, but also there's something that feels very timeless about this movie.
Yeah.
How do you think about it?
I think about it as both. I think, because of the aspect of kind of doing that 50s musical, which was so important to build, to do authentically in a way, like with those long shots and doing the dance numbers from top to bottom without cutting sometimes, And I was like, how many more times? Yeah. Actually, no, I would be like, can I do it one more time? But that part of it is the fantasy, it's the escapism, and I think the thing about the movie that I love the most is that it tells of the importance of storytelling and how it can help you get through the day and how it helps all of us. Films help all of us kind of get through the hardest times in our lives, just like music. That's why movies are so important, and the importance of love. The importance of love and just seeing each other as human beings and how love can kind of, shorten the gap of any divide between people. If we could just look at each other, like you're saying, as individuals, as people. people as human beings, and not worry about who you like, who you don't like, what your political beliefs are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. There's another human on the other side of you, and you will find something in common with them, and it's that you are both human and you both have a heart. And that, to me, is something that was so important when I read the movie and why I wanted to be part of it.
Tonatiuh, how do you think about the impact of this film, the reach, how do you think about the impact this movie can have?
Well, I know the impact that it had on me. I think growing up as a femme, queer, Latin kid in a culture that doesn't necessarily praise those things, femininity. I remember when I was really young, I fought tooth and nail to be super feminine and put it in people's faces, you know? But I was told that my career would never achieve to the lengths that I wanted it to because of it. And so the thing that I fought so much to love about myself got stamped out of me in an industry that didn't know how to handle duality. And when I got this material, I knew this person spiritually. I understood someone who felt like a loser in their own life, and who found to be the hero of their own story by falling in love. And one spirit got to show the entire spectrum, from feminine to masculine and everything in between. And I think what I took away from it was, no one can tell you who you are, you get to decide that. Gender is simply a construct, and it is something that we play with and have fun with and get to explore. And in a time that people tell us that things are inherently binary, in a time where violence out of that binary exists, I hope that people find solace and know that they are not alone.
Bill, before we wrap up, I'm going to switch gears just for a moment to talk about the spectacle that we see on this screen, or that we just watched on this screen tonight. You're working at the height of your powers as a filmmaker in weaving together all these approaches that nod to classic musical cinema, that pull us forward into contemporary conversation. I would love to hear a little bit, and I don't know which direction we want to go. We could talk about music, we could talk about costume, we could talk about choreography. But I would love to hear a little bit about some of the, as you were conceiving of how this movie would look, feel, sound, share a little bit of insight.
This is a great opportunity for me to talk about all of those things. Editing, ranking, you know, the fact that sorry. They have to, these two very different movies have to connect to each other, and the rhythm that Brian found in making that happen was just extraordinary. Costumes,
Oh my goodness, that
the thing about Colleen is that it's always the idea of that Hollywood movie, but with a twist. There's something that just elevates it, you know. And I do love her note to me when she left was, I do love working with the diva.
Those are clothes.
Tobias Schleister, our cinematographer. All of the ways Tobias, and my God, that, you know, constructing, creating that world in the prison and contrasting it, you know, visually with the movie world. It looks easy, but Tobias went through 100 variations of everything to really, again, what I love is to capture the spirit of those old movies, but not to just imitate them. You know, it's its own thing, and that's part of what he created. Choreography, Sergio Trujillo and Brandon Bieber, who's here. That was just, oh my God, the Dropbox. Shout out to Dropbox. We were out there.
Oh my God, yes, the Dropbox.
But the amount of clips that we use and threw back to each other of all of these classic musicals, again, looking at them as reference and then creating something that crystallizes it and hopefully heightens it. I could go on and on, but thank you for letting me talk about some of those people.
Bill Condon, Tonatiuh, Jennifer Lopez, thank you very much for being with us at Sundance tonight.